righty then. Well, hello, welcome everybody. I hope there are millions and gazillions of people out there watching. My name is Sky Palkowitz, and I am known as the Delusional Diva. I'm an avant-garde multimedia performance artist, actor, director, producer, educator, and many other things. And amongst those many other things, I serve proudly as one of the longest standing board members of the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival. And that's why we're here today. And you're tuning in from all over the world so that we can have a nice little conversation about theater and empowerment and women solo artists and having voices heard. We've got so much in store for the next, we'll probably go slightly under an hour. I'm shooting to get out here by 8 Pacific Standard Time. So call up all your friends right now, text them right now and tell them, quick hour of empowerment right here, free on the Delusional Diva channel on Facebook and also on the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival channel. So why are we doing this? Because let me tell you a little bit about the LA Women's Theater Festival. Okay. I've been involved with this festival for about 23 of its 31 years. And over the course of the last 31 years, our 4-day, 6-program annual festival has presented close to 700 solo performers from around the globe, all over the world, including performers from Australia, Brazil, Canada, England, France, the Netherlands, Russia, Slovenia, and India, and disciplines that include all across the board. I mean, multicultural, multidisciplinary. We include theater, dance, storytelling, performance art, performance poetry, song, music, cabaret, stand-up comedy, solo shows. We've had trapeze artists. We've had spoken word. We've had like one-person bands. We've had some amazing performers over these 31 years from all around the world, and we are going strong. We're heading into our 32nd year, and the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival is committed to reflecting the progressive attitude of Los Angeles by bringing audiences a lineup of performers who represent our larger communities and are diverse in age, in ethnicity, in culture, in race, in sexual preference, in sexuality. I mean, we run the gamut. It's humans, baby. We deal with humans and storytellers and people expressing themselves through the theater arts. And before we go any further, and I tell you about our upcoming 11th annual Empowerment Weekend, which is going to be this very coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 2.5 days of some really amazing work for all of you out there and your friends and colleagues who are interested in solo theater, in producing theater of any sort. It's really just empowering. I'm going to tell you about that in a moment. Before we do, I'd like to make some acknowledgements and also thank some people that make all of our work possible. Okay, first of all, again, I'm Sky Palkowitz, and for those of you who may be visually impaired, I'm a Caucasian-looking woman with wild makeup, lots of colors, wild punky hair, and I'm wearing a black blouse with a green overshirt, and I'm very happy to be here. Now, let's acknowledge the land that we sit on here in Los Angeles. I'm in Los Angeles County, and the LAWTF, which is the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival, would like to acknowledge that the Tongva, Chumash, and Kiz people are the traditional caretakers of the land now recognized as Los Angeles County. And we celebrate the wisdom of this land and its indigenous caretakers. We'd like to also just quickly thank some of our government grants and sponsors, which include the Los Angeles County Department of Arts and Culture, California Arts Council, City of Culver City, the Department of Cultural Affairs in Los Angeles, City National Bank, Black Bowed Giving Fund, 4Imprint, Postmates, KPFK 90.7 FM, and of course, our fearless leader, the president of the organization and one of our founding members, her organization, Adila Barnes Productions. We thank all of these people and our public for our audiences and our artists for continuously making it happen. If you'd like to find out more about the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival after we talk today, and I interview 4 amazing women solo artists who are going to be part of our panels this coming weekend, then just go to our website, www.lawtf.org, and all of our information is there. I want to tell you also, and I'll say this again later, but at the top of the show, our submissions are now open. So if you are a solo theater artist, you have a show, and you're anywhere in the world, we pay our artists, we offer stipends. We sometimes help people to get here from other countries. So, hey, don't let anything stop you. Go on our website, www.lawtf.org, and check out the info for submitting your solo show. And you could be here in Los Angeles with us next March for our 4-day, 6-program wild event with a gala and celebration. We have dinner, we have champagne. It's always in a different space, somewhere around the greater Los Angeles County, North Hollywood area. We're not sure where it's going to be, but we will be announcing that as soon as we know, because we're always moving around. We're moving and shaking. We're women on the move. Okay, so submissions are open. I told you that. And what's going on? This weekend, we're celebrating our 11th annual empowerment weekend, and we're doing it all on Zoom. So sometimes we do this live. A few months ago, we had a live event during March here at Theater 68 in North Hollywood, and it was 2 days of panels and workshops. And now we want to expand our audience and make it available to you. Even if you're like, in Japan or India or New York or Alabama, you can sign up and get a very inexpensive pass to our upcoming empowerment weekend. So what is this going to be? It's an extended weekend of virtual workshops and panels tailored to empower and enhance the careers of solo performers in particular, but the event has information that can benefit all performers. Stage management, technical, if you're a music designer, if you're a scenic designer, I mean, all genres really. If you're making theater and you're up to it, and this is open, by the way, to men, women, and sexes, all sexes. This is on Zoom. It's not just for women, although the majority of performers in our annual festival are usually female identified. It's just going to be an amazing weekend. It includes career training from industry professionals. We have 23 industry professionals, including myself, that is designed to give a boost to solo performers. We have workshops and panels that are going to cover very particular areas, especially tailored to solo artists, such as how to create a solo show, what you have to do for marketing, the teamwork that it involves, how to build your team, touring, where to take your show, what's your audience, career development. I mean, it's just really a chock full weekend of information. Attendees will be able to attend 11 offerings, including a conversation on Friday evening with the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival's board of directors, some of our advisory board members, and workshops and panels through the weekend. Early bird registration is gone already, so sorry you missed that. But if you get your tickets now, if you're just doing one day, Saturday or Sunday, it's $40 per day. But if you want the full weekend pass, it's $75. And you can join into our group by just going on our website, www.lawtf.org, and click on more info under the empowerment weekend. It's really kind of cool. If you go to the website also, I just looked at the updates, and you can see the pictures and biographies of all 23 panelists who are going to be part of this weekend. Listen, folks, I've been an actor and a producer and a director in Los Angeles for nearly 25 years. Where can you do an entire weekend with 23 industry professionals for $75? Right here at the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival on Zoom from wherever you are. So spread the word, spread the website, lawtf.org, find out info. It's going to be just chock full of information. And it kicks off on Friday with a conversation, as I said, from 5 to 6 o'clock. And this is open to everybody to watch. Find out more about our organization, have a conversation with the LAWTF Board of Directors. That's Jonna Houston, Jessica Lynn Johnson, Kat Kramer, Kirsten Laurel Kaplan, and myself, Sky Palgowitz. I'm sorry, I'm licking my lipstick. It's very tasty. It's going to be a 1 hour interactive time with the board of directors, the advisory board, and attendees will allow those who are joining us for Empowerment Weekend this year to hear LAWTF's mission and our vision moving forward and share your thoughts regarding our upcoming events, including this weekend's empowerment panels and workshop. So if you want to look at the lineup and the schedule, again, just check out our website, lawtf.org, and all of the information is there. So without further ado, I have 4 very special women out of the 23 panelists and workshop leaders who have joined me this evening, and we're going to spend about 10 minutes with each woman talking a little bit about empowerment and their careers and what led them to LA Women's Theater Festival and a whole bunch of stuff. So sit back, get a drink. Yeah, I've got my ice seltzer water here. Have a nosh, grab a little falafel or some crackers and vegan cheese. Just kidding. And sit back and let's talk about theater. My first guest is a dear friend of ours and a fellow board member. Her name is Jonna Houston, and she is an actor and a writer and a producer who first appeared as a series regular in the indie crime drama Get Thee Behind Me on the Ion Network. She's appeared in a bunch of indie films, amongst them Triumphant, She Fights to Win, Taj, I Feel Like Going On, and A Little Problem. Her stage credits also include Undertow by the Harlem Renaissance playwright Eulalie Spence. I hope I said that name right. And Final Placement by award-winning author Ara Watson. Jonna appeared in A Fatal Friend and Hollywood Fiction, both of which screened at the Cannes Film Festival. All right, Jonna. And her media background includes her talk show and commentator credits The Way I See It and Candid Comments, which are on Time Warner Cable and Cable Radio Network. And she spent 3 seasons as co-host, solo host, and co-producer of the Ladies Talk Show on YouTube. She's an all-around amazing woman, a very, very dear person and a stand for women solo artists. So Jonna, come on down. Let her in. Can I see you?
I want you to see me.
Yeah, I want everybody to see you. Hit the video button at the bottom left.
At the bottom left.
To be on the screen. Come on. Oh, Jonna.
My video.
Here she comes. Here she comes. All right. Uh-oh, you're in the car. See what I said? We're way on the move. We never stop. Look, hey, art happens, right? I don't know, trip somewhere.
You know us, but you know us with LAWTF. You know us. We do anything from anywhere. So just got to set it up. How you doing, Sky?
I'm great. I haven't seen you in since the festival in March, so it's good to actually see you. Now, where are you? Are you somewhere on vacation, or are you just in between gigs? What's going on?
I'm in between gigs and business, and I looked at the clock and says, "Oh my gosh, that's right, I have to do this." So we just pulled into a lot close to us and parked.
That's great. So, because a lot of people who are watching may not know you and your involvement, why don't you just tell us a little bit about what originally brought you years ago to the LA Women's Theater Festival and some of the work and the positions that that you've held with us?
Well, I am not a solo artist yet, but
I heard that's in the works, though.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it. God is trying to press it on my brain that it's part of my future coming up. I met Adila many, many years ago, and she knows our history of meeting much better than you did. But I, at one point, held a national title. I was a Volunteer America title holder. And so, my little thing was to go around and find events and things to volunteer at and help out with whatever was going on. And I was referred to the LAWTF for the festival. Had no clue what it was, did not know, but I went. And I ended up being a volunteer hostess for the green room, where all of the celebrities and all of the VIPs gathered before the program started. I had no clue what was going on the other side. I didn't know what was going on stage. I didn't know what it was. But the second night that I volunteered, there was an award that was supposed to be presented, and the presenter didn't show. So here comes a dealer, a dealer. And she comes and she says, I don't know if you're ready for this, but I like your dress. Can you come out and can you put your sash on and can you present this award if I give you the words to say? And that's how I met her. Fast forward years past, we didn't see each other. I
Oh,
didn't
so she got
realize
you
that she,
hooked.
yeah,
That's
she
how
had
she
me hooked.
hooked you.
Yeah, we didn't see each other, but I found out that you guys' office was right around the corner where I eventually moved to, out here in North Hollywood. So we just happened to run into each other when I was working the polls. And she said, would you consider becoming a board member and bringing all of the experience you have in the industry, both in performance and in media? And I said, well, sure, why not? And that was right before the COVID shutdown. So I think the shutdown was in
20,
19 or something like that.
2020, 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
I was brought into the board by you guys in that January, and been there ever since, and learned a lot, experienced a lot, met some wonderful women like you all on the board and the advisory board, come to understand what solo artistry is as a form, as a communication all its own. And it's exciting to see all of those performances once they come together and once they're put into a lineup, and just what it really takes to do that. It's not easy. Emotionally, physically, technically, production wise, it's not easy to do. And so what I'd like to do is encourage people to visit our website. There are a lot of things that we have lined up during the year that we do other than our flagship festival. And the Empowerment Weekend panel and workshops is coming up this weekend. It's one of the things that covers a myriad of things that impact people's lives, whether you're an artist or not. If you're a social activist, if you're an artist, if you're into mind and meditation, if anything that manages your life and the way you would like to see your life at its best. So LAWTF.org, please go and get a ticket for yourself and somebody else. And we'll be there. Sky will be there. I'm on a panel and moderating a panel. Sky is on a panel, moderating a panel. So come
That's
and
right.
join us this weekend.
Tell
We'd
me
love to see you.
what panel you are moderating and what panel you're speaking on.
I'm speaking on the panel diversity and inclusion.
Yes.
And I advocate for seniors.
And that's the diversity inclusion is on Sunday, this Sunday, the 25th, as part of the all-day schedule, which begins at 10 a.m. and it goes until about 5:30 p.m. So that diversity inclusion is right smack in the middle of Sunday afternoon from 2 to 3 p.m. And that panel will address the importance of diversity and inclusion in creating a safe space, especially at this very pivotal time in our
Exactly.
society. Yeah.
Well, if you want to
So
get your feet wet on Saturday at 2:45, 2:55, we have our archivist panel, which I am the moderator of for the fourth time. A brand new panel. It's going to be exciting. And we talk about activism and advocacy, and is there a place for artists there? Should artists speak out what they think about certain things and when certain things are going on in the world? Do we have a responsibility to use our art to communicate on behalf of the society and the communities that we live in, or do we just go produce our shows and then go on to something else? So we've noticed in the news and we've noticed in certain circumstances now that very well-known names of theater and music and TV and film are starting to step out and starting to speak up. And so it might be time for us to consider, if they say something or they touch us in a place that we believe in, also to step up behind them and support them. Don't be afraid to tell a story that might not be more comfortable for people, but might really reach out and touch and heal and enlighten people in a way that they're not getting any other way in their lives.
it's a really great conversation to be a part of, because I know, so many of our friends, our colleagues, and the people who are trying to write theater and express themselves in one form or another are very concerned citizens of the planet who want to make a difference and
Yes.
sometimes don't know how to tailor their message and what it is, that they're trying to ultimately say in their solo show. And these panels, especially artivists and, the diversity, really address, solutions and ways to kind of have conversations with your fellow artists so that you can write and perform the most powerful and empowering work so that you're handing it over to the audience and going, hey, now it's your turn. Now you do something. You were inspired, you were touched, you were moved by something I did up here. So take it a step further, right?
Exactly. It takes
Yeah.
it takes courage. It takes the ability and the willingness to be vulnerable and transparent, and to know that there's a part of you, a part of your emotion, a part of your mind when you share that journey that's at risk of not knowing how people are going to respond. But I know it's impacted me in a lot of ways, just the 4 years I've been with you all. And I encourage people, especially if you like theater, you say you like theater, then come see what this theater performance genre is about. Come see what it's about. And you will not be the same when you leave. That I guarantee you. And you may not realize till months or even years later what impacted you and how, or whose performance you'd love to see again, or those kinds of things, because it is unique. And we're the number one out there. So we want to see you. We
Right.
want to
The Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival is the longest standing solo theater women's festival in California, if not the country. And 32 years we're going on.
see
And
too.
just so when you mentioned celebrities and you mentioned, our festival programming. And for those of you who aren't familiar with our yearly schedule and what happens, I just want to throw out there. So our upcoming festival, we do it every March during Women's Month and usually the last weekend in March. So in 2025, next year, our dates are set for March 27th through the 30th. And what that is on the Thursday evening, we have a big gala, champagne gala, and we honor usually celebrities, but sometimes just powerful women who may not be celebrities, but are empowering women in theater. People
Yes.
from, again, all around the globe. Some of them are from LA area, some and beyond. But we honor 5 women in different categories, and we have a celebration that night with food, with champagne, with mixing, with music, and with performances. And that's a lovely evening in itself. And then the Friday night following on the 28th is a whole program of shows. We usually have 3, 4, 5 performers per evening doing a half an hour or less of their solo material. And then Saturday, 2 shows, one in the afternoon and one in the evening. And on Sunday, 2 shows, one in the afternoon, one in the evening. So that's 6 shows, 6 performances in 4 days every March. And right now, the festival submissions are open. It's March 27th through the 30th. Save the date if you're in the LA area or you're going to come to the LA area in March, or you want to plan a trip to the LA area. That's when our festival is going to be. And like Jonna said, oh my gosh, you leave change when you come to the whole weekend and see 18 to 20 solo artists expressing, different themes, different things. It's very, very eclectic and empowering.
Yes,
What
it
else?
is.
I want to let you add a little more if there's anything else you want to, talk about, tell us.
Because yeah, it does it makes an amazing statement that we have been the LAWTF, the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival, for as long as we have, especially through the seasons of COVID and the strike and all of those kinds of things. And we're still standing and still growing. And just thank you from me to everyone on our boards. I love being a part of you and what we do together. Thank you to all of our interns, all of our staff, everyone who works together as a team and comes together to make sure that we have quality in our presentations. And that has been a large part of our longevity in this industry. So it's always, fun to chat with you about those kind of things, Sky. It makes me
Yeah, I
very
get I get very excited and very, emotional about the work that we do and how how it ripples out and reflects, so many people get 6 degrees of separation and moved and touched and inspired. I wish I could talk with you more, but I do want to thank you so much for taking the time out in the middle of your journey to talk with us a little. And by all means, drop your information, like if you want to get connected with Jana, if you want to find out more about, yeah, you didn't even talk about your production company and the work you do with film and stuff, but anyway, um, John is up to a lot, like we all are, and it's great to get connected. So become a Facebook friend, become an Instagram follower, and feel free to put any information in our chat on the Facebook, any in the comments about anything you're up to, or just in general, a good message of hope and peace and prayers for the planet. So
So very much. It's good to be here again with you, Sky.
I will see you very soon. We'll see you on Friday for our discussion, and then Saturday and Sunday. And so travel safely, and thanks again for joining us. You can
Thank you.
zone out, and
All
I'll
right.
I'll just send you love. Okay, so that's our first guest, Jonna Houston. And again, just to give you a little sense, as you're not looking at it right now, Friday we start off the evening from 5 to 6, just 1 hour of talking with our board of directors and hearing more about the festival and how you can get involved. We are always welcome to volunteers if you're in the LA area and you just want to, you're not a solo performer, but you want to learn more, or you want to see some shows, and maybe you want to come and help out and volunteer, just let us know. Go on our website. There's a contact page, and you can send us an email and introduce yourself, and we'd love to have you. The more, the merrier. And if you're sitting there and you just won the lotto and you don't know what to do with your winnings, we always accept donations. And we're also having some amazing raffle prizes during this upcoming weekend. Raffle prizes, oh my gosh, like I can't, I'll tell you about that later. But so Friday we begin, and then Saturday again, 10 a.m. All day. There's a lunch break from 1 to 1:30, but you're doing this from Zoom, and our panels and our workshops are on Saturday, 10 a.m. Stories Imagined from Thought to Pen, which is going to be co-led by Juliet Jeffers, my next guest, and Terry Silverman, a very dear good friend and colleague. And this is for everybody. What if you're just curious about writing a show, or if you've done a solo show, or you've done 7 solo shows around the country like me, it's always good to up your game, right? And this workshop is going to give you some techniques and skills that you may not have had before that will get your stuff pumping. And then we have Mounting a Show with Your Dream Team, which I'm going to moderate. That's at 11:15 on Saturday. I'll tell you all about that. Building a team takes a lot, takes a village. Can't just do it just solo. We have some really amazing panelists on that one. And then Get Moving at 12:30, which is a workshop. And then the break, and then Dramaturgy from 1:30 to 2:40. Artivists that we spoke about at 2:45. And Taking Care of You, Mind, Body, and Spirit by co-led by Jessica Lynn Johnson and Massa Hill Sisson. And that's ends at 5 with a raffle with amazing prizes. And we will be taking raffle donations by Venmo, just FYI. And then Sunday, August 25th, mindful meditation in the morning, branding, giving a face to your show, talking about the branding process, the materials that you need, how to be able to brand and market on a shoestring budget. And then On the Road with a Suitcase and a Story, which I am co-leading and teaching another workshop with Shelley Cooper. And then lunch break, then Get Moving at 1:30. That's going to be some dance that you can do from home, and moving meditation and getting your body and, some stress out. I mean, this whole thing, even though it's on Zoom, you're going to feel like you're in like theater classes. This is amazing. Diversity and Inclusion at 2 o'clock. Empowered Women Taking the Reins of Your Career with some really wonderful professionals who are going to teach you how to actually make a business of this work. And then we end with a raffle and our chat room mixer, where you actually get to network and mix with all of the other attendees from all over the world and talk about theater and how you can like go there and connect with each other. So again, that's the rundown, and that's going to be this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Even if you can only make some of the panels or workshops, it's still a great bargain and a great way to join us. Zone in, zone out, do what you can, and get empowered. My very next guest is also a very dear friend, and I make these friends by being part of the community at the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival. My dear friend Juliet Jeffers is an award-winning Caribbean American actor, writer, director, producer, and educator. On screen, she's appeared in 22 films, 41 TV shows, and over 60 commercials. I've seen Juliet on like way back when on like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and stuff
What are
like
you saying? What are you
that.
saying about me?
I would talk about all your credits, girl. She's like, they were right there. She's been on Netflix. She stars in Noise in the Middle on Amazon. She's got recurring roles in Shondaland's The Resident. I know you've been pumping that, Netflix, Tulsa King, isn't that with Sylvester Stallone?
Hmm.
On Paramount Plus. You've performed 5 solo plays, you've received awards, nominations, great accolades for them. And I've seen like, I think at least 3 of the 5 shows over and over. And I love them. It always makes me laugh and moves me and brings me to tears.
Oh,
As an educator, Juliet has taught in schools and correctional facilities. You're giving all the time. You're a private coach like me. You've helped develop and direct over 50 solo shows. All right, I haven't helped others do quite that many, but I've done 50 characters. Uh, and you've teach master classes throughout the country. I know you were in your home country
Nevis,
recently doing.
Nevis.
I saw all that. Oh my gosh, just very moving and inspiring. And you've been on the board of directors, and you've been the curator of the Black Voices Solo Theater Festival at the White Fire Theater. Now you're a big TV star, and you're busy like flying all over the place and doing these TV shots. And you know, Julia, you're just amazing. You're always an inspiration, and whenever I encounter you and the work that you do with the festival, everybody is always just like buzzing how fabulous you are as a director, as a coach. You're just such a valuable part of our team. So hi,
Oh, thank you, Sky.
I love you.
I love
Um,
you.
so what? Yeah, what else is going on? You just
Oh,
like for the audition?
listen, girl, you just said it all.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
tired.
so
I want
we're
to take a
done.
nap
Next
just listening to
guest?
that.
No, I'm
I
just
know,
kidding.
exactly, exactly. Like I'm gonna take a nap because I'm tired.
Yeah, tell me, well, how did you originally, I mean, you've been with the festival on in many capacities also for many years. How did
Yes.
you first get connected with us, and what made you stay and become a board member? Like, tell us.
Well, so it started in 2004 when I did Batman and Robin in the Boogie Down. I performed that at the festival for the first time. And and once I did that, then I was hooked, and I premiered a lot of, I feel like 4 out of the 5 maybe shows I premiered at the LA Women's Theater Festival. And
Hmm.
and then I've come back to, as a teaching artist, as a volunteer, and of course I was on the board. And so yeah, I just keep coming back. I never go away.
So let me ask you this. You said 4 out of the 5 shows you actually premiered with our festival. So for those who are out there listening or who might be part of our empowerment weekend, and attend this weekend, where did they go from the festival after you premiered them, and how was that a stepping stone for getting your work out there on a larger level? Because I know you took it other places after too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, once I consider myself a family member of the LA Women's Theater Festival. So once I became a family member, it really felt like it almost felt like I had to premiere my shows, here,
Like that
because
was the space, that was the
it was
home.
the
That was
space,
like,
because it creates that safe space, right? For us to be able to express, um and really showcase our talent. You know, I feel so supported at the LA Women's Theater Festival. So, and it's a great place to, you know, from that place to then go on to other places because, you know, the other thing is doing they're not, first of all, this is the only festival that I know of. I mean, maybe there are others, but that actually pays the artist. You know, you don't have to come out of your pocket to, you know, they produce it, and give you a stipend, which I think is the way it should be because we are valuable, right? And so it's a great place for anybody who wants to submit for their solo show. This is a great place to start.
Yeah. And so what was like the biggest thing that came out of one of the shows? Like where was the biggest place that you took it after festival?
I would say Batman and Robin and the Boogie Down because I performed it off Broadway and I was nominated for help me out. What was I nominated for?
The United Solo, is that United
No, it
Solo?
wasn't United Solo. It was a Drama Desk Award.
Oh, wow.
And that was, you know, it was really I did the run. It was this small theater and I got extended and I hired a publicist and that's who, you know, they were able to bring in the nominating committee from the drama desk. And this is what happened. I got extended on the very last day of the extension. I was sold out and the 7 people from the nominating committee said they wanted to come. So the person who ran the theater, Cheryl King, she squeezed in seats, you know, and it was a hot summer New York day. And, you know, we were sweating and it was this very intimate theater. And I performed and they nominated me. And so it was just such an honor. I was in the same category as John Leguizamo. And so I just really felt really good to be a part of that. Welcome to the party. You know, I was welcomed to the party.
Speaking of John Leguizamo, he's always been one of the many of my influences when it comes to, and inspirations when it comes to doing solo theater. Who made the real difference for you? What are some of the first shows that kind of lit you up and made you think about even writing your own first solo show?
Yeah, so Whoopi Goldberg,
Okay.
my aunt gave me a VHS tape. Remember those? VHS tape of you still
I
have
still
some. Look at you.
I still have them.
Yes,
I still have
yes,
it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Whoopi Goldberg. Okay.
Right. So
Yeah.
she gave me a tape. She says, I think this is something you might be interested in. Shout out to Auntie Alroy. And I watched it and I was just,
Mm.
I said, I want to do this one day. I want to do this one day. And you know, I watched Carol Burnett, and so just I was always interested in doing different characters and making people laugh and cry and inspire them and all of that. And I was inspired by and have been inspired by John Leguizamo as well. You know, so to meet him was just like, oh my God, am I here? Am I like, please pinch me? You know, is this really happening? So really, really
He's the only person that I handed a VHS cassette, or maybe it was a DVD at that time. I saw him perform at the Montalban and I met him afterwards. And I've met him a couple times too, and he's really zany and wild.
yes.
But I gave him a copy and I said, "You're the only person I'm giving a copy of my upcoming solo show, Calling America Don't Hang Up." And he took it and I never heard from him. But
Ah,
but hey, he's an inspiration.
right, right, exactly. I love that.
Wow. And so Whoopi Goldberg, to my understanding, when she started out, she was doing San Diego, she was like at the Old Globe in some like workshop. And she was just doing started doing these stories and writing these characters. And somebody said to her, you should turn that into like a solo show. And then boom, boom, like she wrote that Around the World in 80 Days, right? And then like who's the guy who discovered Michael and took her to Broadway? Michael,
Oh, I
uh
don't know.
the producer who like saw it in a teeny little theater in New York and then was like, this needs to go to Broadway.
I heard that
Yeah.
story, but I don't remember who it was.
Well, I can't, yeah, I'm a little fuzzy,
Yeah.
but So that's the thing and the beauty of like writing something for yourself, these stories that come out of like your own biography and your willingness, you know, and your commitment to making a difference for others and expressing something. So talk a little more about
And
your
it
process and yeah, about
Well,
that.
before I just wanted to speak to that for a second because, you know, if you say to yourself, "Oh, I want to write a show so that somebody could recognize my show and I could be famous," da da da, that's the wrong place to start, you know, because that you're writing it from your heart. You're writing it because this is a story that you need to tell and you need to get this out, and you have no choice but to get it out. And that's where it should come. It should come from truth. It should come from this desire to really express, you know, as opposed to like the outer uh possibilities that can happen, you know? So, so what was the question?
Just, you know,
And
about your
mm,
process and how, you know, how you've been able to bring these characters to life and
well,
you
you
just,
know, it's interesting because with the shows, I feel like I didn't have just one process. And, you know, some of them, like for example, with Pan Girl, which is based on a Trinidadian woman who grew up at a time when uh, women were not able to play the steel pan drum. And so I talked to the woman that this show was inspired by someone who actually existed. And I spoke to her and interviewed her and all that stuff. And she told me that when she would play the pan, she had to do it, you know, in secret. And and then when people started to find out, her friends did not want to hang out with her because it was just looked down upon for a female to play. And so she used to go to the beach by herself and just write poetry. And she would write poetry, just kind of express what was going on. And I took that, just that little thing. And I thought, okay, well, then I'm going to tell this story through poem, you know? And so I started writing poetry based on some of the things that she shared with me. And then I tied the poems together with, you know, some scenes in between the poems, you know? And so that was a process. And that's the only time I've ever that, done it that way. Right. And then
wow,
others, I find characters like with, you know,
yeah.
Tio Pablo, I knew, right? I knew that he had to be in something because he was such a great character, you know? And so I just wrote a monologue based on the few things that I remembered about him, you know, created a whole
So
monologue.
just do a little, tell us Tio Pablo who he is and so because, you know, nobody's seen that show. Tio Pablo.
What, you know, Theo Pablo, he's a, the uncle. Why I could become him. Okay, so I am the uncle of Juliet. Uh, you know, she lets me do her show sometimes. Sometimes she does. Um, but the thing is that I always steal the show. So sometimes she say, "No, Tio Pablo, I don't want you to be in the show no more because you steal the show for me." Eh,
I love it. I was gonna ask you to just do a little, yeah, Tio Pablo. I love that character amongst so many of your others. And just to wrap with you, are you writing any new solo work? Or are you just focusing on your TV right now? Do you feel like there's something new coming at all?
There's always something new, right? There's always, I get ideas all the time. And what I'm doing, what I'm focusing on right now is I have a couple of solo shows that I've already written that I'm turning into screenplays. So I have a short film that I
Okay.
wrote. I have the full length feature that I wrote based on another show. So, you know, stay tuned.
That's great. Well,
Yeah.
I wish you, you know, all the luck. Well, I say mazel tov. This is
Mazel tov. I'll take it. I'm a New Yorker.
yeah,
Come
yeah.
on.
And so keep on trucking, and you're going to be with us through this weekend and leading
Yes.
some very valuable conversations and inspiring. And so I'm very excited for the Zooms this weekend. So I will give you a big
I
virtual
know.
hug
Yes, yes. So
until
great seeing
we're,
your beautiful
you know,
face.
yeah, and hope to
Yes,
see you really soon in person. And thank you for taking the time this evening to talk a little bit about your work and your work with us. And
of
always
course.
appreciate your inspiration. And
Always.
I will let you go and move it on to the next person.
Okay.
Thanks, Julie.
Bye.
See you
See ya.
soon. Love you. Mwah. Okay, so without further ado, let's just give you the bio of the next guest because now we're just getting into the nitty gritty and excited here. I'm going to speak with somebody I've never met before, Miranda Johnson Haddad. Now, she also wears many hats. She's a resident dramaturg at A Noise Within. This is a theater, a classical theater in Pasadena. Oh, maybe I have met you. I don't know. I've auditioned there a number of times. And upcoming, there's some, I guess these are the shows that are coming up that you've worked on: The Skin of Our Teeth, The Piano Lesson, and The Scottish Play. Previous seasons, you've worked on Miss Alliance, King Hedley II, Sweeney Todd, A Midsummer Night's Dream, The Bluest Eye, The Book of Will, Kiss of the Spider Woman, love that show, Much Ado About Nothing, Radio Golf, Animal Farm, Metamorphosis, All's Well That Ends Well, Argonautica, and Othello. And you're also an educator and a consultant since 2011 there. And you've also dramaturged at a whole bunch of places: Pasadena Playhouse, State Theater, Boston Court Theater, all the good ones, Shakespeare Theater Company in Washington, D.C. I think I've auditioned there as well. And you've taught Shakespeare, drama, and literature at Howard University, UCLA, Vassar College, and Yale University. You're a frequent speaker at the Los Angeles Opera, the Shakespeare Club of Pomona Valley, and all over the place. You have a PhD. I'm so jealous. I love it. PhD in Renaissance Studies from Yale. It's going to be a heavy conversation, people. Very intellectual. And a bachelor's in comparative literature from Princeton. That is some resume. Wow. I also, hello, welcome,
Hi.
Miranda. It's great to meet you. I don't know if we've ever come across each other's paths. If so, forgive me.
I don't think so.
No, but I'm also a Shakespearean actor, trained at the professional theater training program at the University of Delaware many years ago.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
toured, my most recent was touring with Shakespeare by the Sea, playing Nurse in Romeo and Juliet. So I just went to San Diego to go see Henry VI at the San Diego Old Globe. And man, there's nobody who loves Shakespeare more than me. So very, very cool. How did you find your way to the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival from A Noise Within? I mean, we're neighbors, but haven't seen you at the shows. How'd you get hooked up with us?
You know, this is my first time being part of the LA Women's Theater Festival and the Empowerment Weekend, and Sky, listening to you, listening to Jana, listening to Juliet. I'm just honored and thrilled, and I just feel like a kid in a candy shop to be here. I was contacted by Adila Barnes. And I'm not actually sure how she found me, but I've worked with many women who've been involved, I think, from the earliest days with the festival, with Vera Lynn Jones, with Joyce Guy, Andy Chapman directed The Bluest Eye at A Noise Within last season, and she's actually directing the Scottish play this season. So I think my name just eventually kind of percolated its way up there. So I'm just thrilled. And I do have to say, this is not going to be a heavy intellectual conversation, and I have to show you why. So let me show you who shares space with me. It is this rubber duck. Is he not the best? And I always like to bring him out just to reassure people that I'm not going to sit here and make a lot of heavy pronouncements about Shakespeare or theater or anything else, because for me it's all about the joy, right? Theater is all about the joy.
So how did you get into the world of dramaturgy? It's such a different route to go when people are kind of like discovering their passion for theater and going that academic route. Like what led you down that path?
Yeah, well, I definitely approach dramaturgy through an academic lens, but even back in the day, in the very beginning, when I was just starting off teaching, my field was Shakespeare, but within the field of Shakespeare studies, I did performance studies, because yes, they're texts, we love them, but they were written as scripts, and I have always believed that plays aren't complete until they're being performed, and just having that grounding in Shakespeare and in Shakespeare performance, I feel really set me up then to just be of service to productions of any play. Certainly August Wilson, but the adaptation of The Bluest Eye, The Kiss of the Spider Woman, the two-hander play, just having that grounding in Shakespeare really, just with the Inherit the Wind, just really provided what was for me a very natural way forward into theater and into performance.
Yeah, I truly believe that the classics, and that's my background and training, is that once you can do the classics and stage, you can do anything. And I find in Hollywood, a lot of actors have trouble making the transition either from stage to screen or from vice versa, from screen to stage. But in my background and my training, it was like, once you can handle the language and once you get the musicality and the flow of what you're speaking and saying, then it lends itself to all those other kinds of scripts. So yeah, I'm very into all that. I'm very aware of.
It's so true, right? And I love what you just said, Sky, about the language, the sort of the rhythm and the musicality, because it's there in any language. And if I may also just add, and just thinking about what you were saying about the classics providing just that great foundation. I've also loved being part of the conversations that are happening at A Noise Within at these other theaters about redefining what constitutes a classic. And yeah, we love Shakespeare, we love Moliere, but let's think about some redefining what that means. Why do we call a play classic, and why does it speak to us in that way from that position?
And I would love to talk, more about Shakespeare and the question of like making it updating, when you see a Shakespeare production that's so modernized and they change, the language completely. I have a lot, I go like this, I
Vince, right?
I want to hear it in its an original form. I just, I come from a place where it's just from the first word to the last word is a roller coaster, and it's a moving thing, and it's speaking and listening, and it doesn't matter. Costumes don't matter, set doesn't matter. It's really just about being in the living language. That's how I approach stuff. And then it's so different than performance art or solo work. So how do you're leading this workshop on Saturday called Dramaturgy from Script to Stage. It's going to explore the role of context and composition as two elements of script writing. How does that feed into solo work for you?
Yeah, it's such a great question. And by the way, girlfriend, you are singing my song when you talk about the keeping Shakespeare's language rather than dumbing it down, or any language for that matter, approaching it from a place of fear. But I'm also not a purist, whoever that is, when it comes to Shakespeare or anything else. So I think there's a lot of room for solo work in the classics, and that can be part of the conversation about how do we redefine a classic. And certainly, we traditionally, I think of plays with these enormous casts. Working on Inherit the Wind, when that play was first opened on Broadway in 1955, it had a cast of 56. I know, right? When the revival in the early 2000s, they were down to 34. When we did it, when Michael McKetty directed it at the Pasadena Playhouse just last fall, we made do with 17, and that's a big cast these days. And yet it was fine. It was great. It spoke in different ways. So I think in terms of solo work and with connections with classical theater or not, I think there's just so much room there, to explore and make any text speak in new ways. Because otherwise, why do we keep doing it? If it's just so arcane and archaic that it can't stand up to some creativity and a irreverence and a little playfulness even. I feel that very strongly. Yeah.
Have you ever been on the other side and like stood on stage and performed work, your own work?
Not since high school. Not since high school. But people sometimes say, well, what do you have to, what does a dramaturg do? And I say I have a very clear sense of where my job ends, and the performers and the cast and the directors and the, you know, the people who actually are actors where their jobs begin. I'm here to provide information and be of service. But I also think the most important qualification for a dramaturg is to love theater, and I'm grateful every day to parents who took me to theater, you know, and they never stopped to say, oh, well, maybe this is too risque, or this is too advanced, or too complicated or hard. You know, they just took me to theater, and that's I'm grateful to them, and that's, I think, what theater is about. That's the spirit of it, really.
Do you remember what the first show, or the first person that you saw perform something that, like, as a young person, that was the moment you were like, oh, I've got to do that?
You know, I remember my first Shakespeare show, the first one I saw, and it was memorable. I was 11 years old. It was in Stratford-on-Avon. My parents were academics. We were in England for the year, and the very first Shakespeare show I saw was the Peter Brook Midsummer Night's Dream, which of
Oh.
course was right. It was just iconic, and the first one to double cast the roles, that minimalist set, incredible cast. And I remember saying to my father, who, as I say, was also an academic afterwards, well, I loved it, but I didn't quite understand about the double casting. And he said, oh, that was marvelous. That really brought out the whole subconscious play, you know, elements of the play. And I remember, you know, people talk about a light went on in my head. It was like a light went on in my head. And I thought, you know, I have to be part of this in some way. So I like to think that a few parallel universes over, I'm an actress with the RSC, the Royal Shakespeare Company, but that's actually many parallel universes over here. It's just my joy and privilege to get to speak to all of you, you know, and support productions of anything in any way I can, um, including, you know, more independent or adventurous short films that friends of mine and folks I know are working on as well. So
Well, that's great. So, yeah, it seems like you're expanding your horizons, in joining us now with the festival, and
uh,
we're going to be networking with so many people this weekend, and so many different panelists from all different, all different genres, and all different, wearing different hats. And so I'm really glad that we have you this year, because I don't think we've, in our other 10 empowerment weekends, had anything focusing on the dramaturgical aspects of script writing.
mhm.
And sometimes, like, doing a historical character, and like, I played Colette in a play, and I had to do a lot of research about this writer from France named Colette, how to, so dramaturgy is not just about the script writing, but sometimes the research and how to make it all work. Has it been difficult pursuing a living as a dramaturge, or have jobs, just come to you
It,
through networking? And
You know, it's a work in progress in terms of that, and I think it is more challenging than I wish it were. You know, for any artist, right? But for dramaturgs certainly as well. And I think a lot of people don't realize what you just said. In fact, that new plays need a dramaturg. Plays that are still in early stages of development can benefit from having a dramaturg. And I think it's this kind of, it's this weird word. A lot of people don't really understand exactly what do we do. And I think that as the field is better understood and is understood to be a role of service and empowerment and providing information, my hope is that it will be really be feasible for people coming from any background, whether it's academic or theatrical, to earn a living doing it. But I'm just so excited to be part of the empowerment weekend.
well, you're part of our family now,
Oh,
and
thank you. I would love to think that. So that's
very
great.
excited to see what you have to offer, and the element that you're bringing to the festival is just going to take it to the next level for our attendees. So
Thank
I'm
you.
really
Thank
excited.
you.
Well, say hi to Jeffrey and Julia, and all the people. I think
All the gang.
I just auditioned for a show at Pasadena Play. They're doing La Cage aux Folles.
I know. I'm excited about that
So
one.
excited about that, and
Yeah.
I sent him my tape.
Oh,
I'm like,
I'll cross my fingers for that one too.
waiting. Yeah, because I'm a drag queen at heart. Anyway, I was gonna say that publicly that that they're auditioning or they anyway. But so say hi to everybody. And I don't know if you have Freddie Douglas, he's a good friend of mine. And
He's the best. He's in Skin of Our Teeth. Yeah.
oh, he's
Of other
wonderful, wonderful
places.
actor.
He's
Yeah.
terrific. He's killing that American accent as Mr. Antrobus.
Cool. Yeah. What was he? I saw him do, oh my gosh. One of the best, he wasn't in it, but the best glass menagerie I ever saw was at Noise Within.
Oh, the one with yes, that they did just a few years ago. Wasn't with
So
Deborah.
good.
Deborah was starring was Amanda Winfield and Raphael Goldstein was Tom. Yeah, and Erica was Laura. Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's great to meet you, Miranda. Thank you for taking the time this evening to be
Nice.
with us. And
Thank you for having me.
we'll see you this weekend and get empowered.
Sounds
Till
good.
then.
Great to meet you,
Okay.
Sky. Bye.
See, so there's so many things to talk about, and now we're over 8 o'clock, but that's okay because where do you have to go on a Monday night? Right here. Get another drink. We got one more guest, and I'm gonna make it happen. Deborah Wondercheck, Deborah Wondercheck, also somebody I've never met, new to our community. She is celebrating 20 years of transformative leadership. She's the producer and founder of the Arts and Learning Conservatory. She spearheads cultural inclusivity in arts education for 3,700 children annually throughout Orange County. Deborah is recognized as one of Orange County's 125 most influential people, and she's an Orange County visionary. She earned acclaim as a woman of distinction by the California State Assembly. Just this year, she was named Commissioner of the Arts by the city of Costa Mesa. I have a restaurant in Costa Mesa I love. I'm going to tell you about that. But that's a really cool distinction. And also under Deborah's guidance, the Arts and Learning Conservatory earned Orange County's Outstanding Arts Organization of the Year, displaying unwavering dedication to preserving high quality music and theater programs for children, especially in marginalized communities. And Deborah's commitment radiates through impactful contributions, shaping futures through the transformative power of the arts. And that's my kind of lady. Welcome, Deborah. Hi, how are you?
Great. Thank you for having me. And I'm excited to be here because I know you are the queen of Zoom Live. I saw that on your site.
It called me legendary.
I can believe it.
Yeah. I did do a funny little promo video for tonight.
I loved it.
Thank you. Yeah, I love these Facebook Lives because it's just a way to connect, and when the festival, as Jonna was saying, at the beginning of tonight, when we went into pandemic and the festival had to go from live to Zoom, it actually opened up a whole nother world for us because we got to connect with people who wouldn't normally be in our audience seats, who weren't in LA. So this is worldwide now, connecting with, internationally and globally with female artists from all around the world. So how did you wind up with us? Who do you know? What's your story? How did you get to be on our Empowerment Weekend
I was interviewed by Abdila. She's wonderful. And just shared with her about my story, my background, and she said, "Oh, you have to speak. You have to be one of our speakers for this event." So, so that's how I came on. I mean, yeah, and I can share a little bit about my story if that helps. So, I founded the Arts and Learning Conservatory 20 years ago. This is our 20th anniversary, and really what the way I got involved with theater and just music performing arts classes to begin with is really goes back to my mom's story. My mom grew up during the Jim Crow era, and in 1945 she was 10 years old. So the school that she attended at that time was actually in Chicago, which most people don't realize Chicago was extremely segregated. And she was in a very well-off, well-to-do neighborhood because her father was a home builder. They were the only Black family in this town called Highland Park at the time. And it was because of the service that my grandfather did for the community with building homes. So it's like, you get a pass, you can be here. So when it came time in her schooling for her to learn how to play a musical instrument, the school basically denied her that opportunity. And it hurt her literally to the core. But my mom is a very positive person, even at that age, and she turned that thing around. She's like, well, when I'm married and I've got kids, they're all going to play a musical instrument because nobody should be denied the opportunity to play anything or be involved in the arts. So she got married, 18 or whatever. I think she was 19. And 7 kids later, we're all playing stringed instruments. My sister was the one that really went into musical theater. She's a classically trained vocalist. She's the oldest. I'm the youngest. There's 5 boys in between. We were exposed to violin, viola, cello. So there's a couple of violinists, violists. I played cello. My brother, one of my brothers played cello. This opened doors for us to go to college because when you have 7 kids, you're trying to figure out how to even get them educated. And what ended up happening is we were taking private lessons. My sister's doing all the vocal training, doing all the plays and things of that sort. We had, with our private lessons, one of the instructors was a musician in the Chicago Symphony. And he had told my mom, look, if your kids get good at this, they should be able to go to college. So my sweet, loving, God-fearing mom turned into this drill instructor. And it's like, everybody practice, get in there, practice. So practiced a lot. And 5 of us ended up getting scholarships to different universities nationwide. From our instruments, my sister from musical theater, as well as playing an instrument. So it was pretty amazing. But the dark side of all this, or the challenging side, was even though my mom was a super positive, loving person, my dad was physically abusive. So honestly, by the time my 3rd oldest sibling got that call to go to college, you got this full ride, my mom saw it as an opportunity to get the other 4 of us out of that situation. She knew she can handle 4. She couldn't handle taking care of 7 kids trying to get out of this seriously dire situation. So when my 3rd sibling found out he was going to college, she started for 6 months finding a way for us to pack suitcases, hide them in our attic behind the regular clothes so that my dad wouldn't know we're going to be out of there by the time my 3rd sibling went off to college. So for us, college was exciting, but it was also for my mom. She knew that her children that were in college had food, they had shelter, the academia, and they're safe. That's what college was for our family. So anyway, they went off. We ended up leaving right when the 3rd one got into college. We had to escape our home in the night. And we ended up taking, some friend of hers took us to a train station. My mom was like, take your suitcase and get your cello. You bring that violin, you bring that, we're not leaving those instruments. You take them with you.
How old were you at that time? How old were
I
you?
was 10. I was 10 at the time.
And you're like middle of the kids?
I'm the last one.
You're the baby.
I'm the baby. My sister's the oldest. There's 5 boys in between.
Wow.
So we ended up going to Denver, Colorado. We stayed in a women's shelter for like 3 or 4 months. My dad found out where we were, so we had to escape again, came to California. We were in the Salvation Army for a bit, and then ended up in Oceanside at another women's shelter. By this time, it was almost a year. And I tell you, my self-esteem was completely depleted. I was always afraid. We're traveling and hiding and, all of us in one little room, wherever we did live. And it was just depleting in my self-esteem. But what happened was when we got to Oceanside, to the final women's shelter that we were in, there was a magnet school across the street that was a fine arts magnet school. It had musical theater, it had dance, it had makeup artistry, painting, ballet. It was amazing. And it had an orchestra. So I started playing in the orchestra. I started doing musical theater. I was doing all the things. And I'll tell you, it literally saved my life because up until that point, I didn't speak to anybody. I didn't want to be around anyone, but the arts brought me back to life. So eventually we got out of the shelter. I started taking private cello lessons. I stayed with musical theater and doing all the things because that's where my people were. That's where I came to life. And that's where I realized, Sky, it was at that point, even at the age of 11, that I was like, really doesn't make a difference what you look like, what your background is, how rich or poor you are. When you're in this artistic atmosphere, people love you, for who you are and what you bring. And I realized that at the age of 11 and just loved it. So fast forward, I ended up getting a scholarship, full ride for playing my cello in a university. I ended up graduating, got my master's degree, became a master teacher of string pedagogy at a university, taught in
So
a
where did you
public
go?
school.
What schools did you go to?
So I got my master's at Cal State Fullerton, and I got my undergrad at a school called Southern California College, and it's now called Vanguard University. So upon attending at these particular schools, I just kept, becoming stronger and greater at, becoming a teacher and learning how to effectively train others. So by the time it was 2004, I was already married, already had I think I had 2 kids at the time. And I was comfortably working in Irvine, in the Irvine School District, teaching all these classes, moving up the chain of command and teaching. And then I thought, you know what, there are children out there that do not have the arts, which was me. And I thought I really have to do something about it because so many arts programs are being cut, and I'm not going to stand by and go, so sad, too bad. I need to do something. So I decided to start my organization called Arts and Learning Conservatory. Started with the summer camp. We did musical theater. We had the kids acting on stage and some kids playing music in a small string ensemble. Our cast was so small, Sky, that I had to have some of my cellists double as nuns within Sound of Music. They played and they got up on stage and they were a nun, and then they came back and played some. It was hilarious, but
Why not? Love it.
had
Yeah.
so much fun. The very next summer, that camp had 21. The very next summer, we had 145 kids come out. And from there, I had parents tell me, look, can you bring the program to our school? We don't have a theater program. We have nothing. So we were in 3 schools, then it went up to 10 and 15. And today we're in 35 schools. We're throughout Orange County, a little bit into LA now, and out in the Riverside. Our whole goal and desire is to make the arts accessible and equitable. And we're now serving over 3,800 students annually. I have 45 teaching artists that either teach musical theater, dance, vocals, or they're teaching band and string orchestra, African drumming, Latin percussion. We're just out there making sure the arts remain in the lives of children because it changes.
Oh
It
yeah.
could totally change the trajectory of any child's life. And they
Yes.
need the exposure. And the problem is so many schools have taken arts away. The kids
Yes.
don't even get the exposure. So that's why I
Okay.
exist.
That's an awesome story. Wow. Now, like, you should write a solo show about that.
Oh,
That's really amazing. And I have a lot of connections on a lot of different levels there. But I wanted to say, yeah, so you started in Chicago also, and that's where you were. Okay,
yeah.
so I lived in Chicago from 97 to 2000, and I taught with Imagination Theater. And so I might have been one of those people who came to your school and did Augusto Boal's Forum Theater, and I was doing violence abuse prevention, drug abuse prevention, safety, sex, communication issues through the use of educational theater. I also was part-time fundraising for the CSO. So I also, got exposed to the Chicago Symphony Orchestra and orchestras from all around the world, really, really amazing. Flash forward to I toured the country with the National Theater for Children doing educational theater.
Okay.
That's what brought me to the West Coast. And when I moved here in 2000, I was running a theater company and I was working with Pasadena Junior Theater and another performing arts, and so I've been in also hundreds and hundreds of schools around the country. I've been in front of hundreds of thousands of children over the last 30 years of touring and doing educational theater, teaching artist. But there's one quote that I heard a number of years ago from our, I think his name was Yaroslavsky, one of the superintendents of education here in Los Angeles County. And
Okay.
he said he was also promoting music education for children. And he said, you put an instrument in a child's life and that kid is off the streets. That kid is at
Absolutely.
home. So the willingness and the commitment to bringing theater and music to children, I'm just going to reiterate, is so, so important because, he said, he worked with the police departments and he said, never ever arrested a kid who plays an instrument because that kid winds up having a whole different set of ideals. They're no longer
Absolutely.
out looking for some trouble to get into their home practicing their instrument, whether that be voice, whether that be acting, whether that be dance, whether that be music and a physical instrument. So I applaud you for the work you're doing. It absolutely life-changing. And it sounds like, at age 11, that's when you found your calling.
I did, yes.
How important it is to nurture, because I think, kids today, we have so much we're dealing with and they're so lost.
Yeah.
Like you said, the lack of arts education. The LA Women's Theater Festival also has gone into many, many schools. We work with underprivileged communities. We've brought teaching artists to thousands of kids as well, doing educational outreach. And it's the only way to save the planet. We're creating future artists and we're creating future audience. We need both to keep the
We
world
do.
going.
Absolutely.
So,
Powerful.
yeah, so much more I want to talk with you about. But we got a little taste of it, and you're going to be with us this weekend as well. And you are, I'm looking on the schedule here. So you are
Sunday evening, I believe. Sunday at 3 or 4. I think it's a diversity panel.
Yes, so diversity and inclusion, and going to address diversity and inclusion, bringing together diverse voices and the responsibility we all have to represent and include those of different cultures, different abilities, different communities. And that's from 2 to 3 o'clock on Sunday as part of our all weekend panel. I'm excited. I'm glad you're, connected to us and part of the family. I'm sure we're going to encounter each other soon, and I have a lot more to talk with you about. So thank you so much for joining us. I wish we could go all night. Now I'm just kind of like getting revved up, but so thank you. And it's great to meet you.
Thank you too. I'll see you. I guess I'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah, well, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Zoom in. We're all going to be, listening to each other's panels and making a difference. So yeah, I'll see you Friday, Saturday, Sunday
Absolutely.
for sure. And thank you again. I'm glad you're part of our team now.
Thank you, Sky. You have a beautiful evening. Thank you so much.
I'm going to wrap this evening, and what a wonderful 90 minutes has been with, I'm sorry, just like so much to talk about with 4 amazing women, and we have 23 of them this weekend. So again, the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival's website is lawtf.org. You could find out all sorts of information and how to register and how to get involved in our empowerment weekend. We also have mixers every couple of months. We have local restaurant mixers where we have performances and storytellers and singers and people performing and free food and networking. So check out our website. You know, that may be something you want to attend at some point, make some friends. We also have a hot off the press series that is ongoing throughout the year where we're looking for new works that are in progress to be read and workshopped on Zoom. There's so many events that we do, and the way to find all about all of it is by going to our website, www.lawtf.org. Befriend us on Facebook, befriend us on Instagram, all LinkedIn, all of the places. We're all over the place, LAWTF. And again, if you want to get super empowered, whether you attend just some of it or all of it this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, join us for our 11th annual Empowerment Weekend. It's going to be fierce. You heard it from some of our guests tonight, and there's so much more we're going to cover. Promise you, it'll be the best $75 you've spent all year for your career, your inspiration, and your livelihood. My name is Sky Palkowitz, proud board member of the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival. I'm also the treasurer. I love this festival. I love the people connected and involved. And it's been my honor and my pleasure to speak to you. Thank you for joining us. Tell your friends this will live live on our channel. Well, it'll be pre-recorded on our channels, but almost like live. If you missed it, if your friends missed it, go rewind, hit the button and watch it again. Until then, my name is Sky. We love the festival. Join us for Empowerment Weekend, and good night, America and the globe. Pray for peace and stay safe.